Okay, let's take a look at a periodic table. This is going to be a little bit different set of notes than what we usually do because we just need to label in some groups on the periodic table. Now we've already learned some of this, and so we've learned that we have 1, this is group 2, group 3, group 4, group 5, 6, 7, and 8. A lot of times you'll see those with Roman numerals. We've also learned the charges of these groups. And so I'm just going to stick them here. +1, +2, +3. We've learned this group is plus or minus 4, but we don't really use it in compounds that way. -3, -2, -1, and 0. Okay. We've also learned how to make dot diagrams of each group. And so I'll put those down at the bottom, but we know that this group has 1 valence electron. And we're just going to put 1 dot right there. This group has 2. And we put those 2 together, like it's like we're filling the s orbital. And then we treat the rest of these like they're the p orbitals. So 3 would be 1, 2, and then 3. And it wouldn't matter what side we really put that on as long as the first 2 were together. And then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, it wouldn't matter as long as those are separate, which is just like we're filling in the p orbitals. Hey, where did my electron go? Come back. And then 5 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to start doubling up. And again, it doesn't matter where we double up first. I'm just going to double up on the first one again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then for 8, we're going to end up filling all of them in. Now notice I tried to make my dots nice and visible. So when we're taking this on a quiz, I don't want you to just tap the paper with your pencil. I want to be very clear so that I know that you've put a dot there and not that it's half erased and half able to be seen. We can also divide the periodic table into a lot of different groups. So we've learned some terminology where groups or families go up and down. Okay, so this is a group, this is a group, these are groups in here. Periods go across. And so we can also number our periods as 1, 2, 3, 4, and it goes down to 7, 5, 6, 7. I know my spacing isn't perfect, but it's good enough. Okay. Now, we also have a pretty big dividing line on our periodic table, and it starts in here. Let's see how this highlighter works to do this. And there's a line, stair-steppy line, and I'm just approximating. I think I did a pretty good job of making that fit. It's not perfect compared to what the actual periodic table is. Again, this is just a sketch, but it does start on the outside of boron here and go down. And if you actually had all the lines filled in on the periodic table, following the steps would make it work perfect. And so on this side of the periodic table, to the left here, okay, these are all considered to be metals. And on the right, these are nonmetals. Okay? We also have what is touching this line. So the elements that are touching here are called metalloids. Metals have the properties of metals. They're conductive, they transmit electricity, they're ductile, we can draw them into a wire. Nonmetals are sort of our opposite. They don't have those properties, they're not conductive. And then metalloids are sort of a hybrid in between. They might have some metallic properties, but they're not They don't fit well into metals or nonmetals, and so they touch that stair-steppy line. And then we have some other specific groups that we look at. And so we're going to call, the one that we know already that we've mentioned a lot is right here. These are our noble gases. I'm starting with them because those are the ones that are the most familiar to us. So then I'm going to jump back over here because this is sort of where we start. This group here is the alkali metals. This group here is the alkaline earth metals. This group in here, from here to here, are referred to as the transition metals. These guys here don't really have a name. They're just group 3, group 4, group 5, but we call this group the chalcogens. Oh, that's hard to read a little bit. And we call this group the halogens. So we have chalcogens, halogens, noble gases. And then, let me make this come back up here a little bit so we can see down here. We have 2 lines down here, and we're going to refer to this one as the lanthanide series. L-I-T, lanthanide series, and this as the actinide series. And it's easy to remember because this is element 58 and this is element 90, but if we look up on the periodic table, element 57 is lanthanum and element 89 is actinium. And depending on the periodic table, sometimes these elements are dropped down in here. There's some slightly different versions of it, but it's easy to remember because the 157 is lanthanum, whether it's here or down here. And so that's the lanthanide series, and 89 is actinium, and so that's the actinide series. And so these are just a series of groups of the periodic table that you need to remember. It's names, groups, where things are located, dot diagrams, charges. Some of this is familiar, some of this is a little bit new, but it's just making us become familiar with the periodic table and what we're going to refer to different groups as. One other thing that you'll see that I want to add in here is that we will refer to this group here. I'm going to highlight this group in yellow. I'm going to use some different color highlighting here. I'm going to highlight this group in yellow. And then I'm going to highlight this group in blue. And then I'm going to highlight this group in green. I didn't want to use the pink again because I didn't want to confuse everybody. But let's see. Get some. This group here that I have made yellow, this is referred to as the S block because this is where our S's are. So 1S1, 2S1, 2S2. This here is referred to as the P block. And look how cool this is. 2 S's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the P block, which is how many electrons go in P. I bet you can guess that this is the D block. And that this group down here of 14, how convenient, is the F block. And so those are all the different areas of the periodic table.